Sadly, most Muslims conflate the creed with culture. They confuse religion with tradition. Now, true Quranic Islam, in contrast to orthodox populism or the commonplace faith that's blindly followed by most of the Muslims, that will be the most effective antidote to both Islamism as well as Islamophobia. It must be stressed that the divinely inspired Quran, as a believer, I believe that, is the sole authoritative source of Islam and not any fabricated views or man-made rulings. These were all subsequent inventions by the clergy. Quran-centric Islam seeks to restore original Quranic laws and refuse the toxic trio of the faith. These are all invented documents. So what are these toxic trio? Number one is the Hadith, or the supposed sayings of Muhammad that were compiled some 300 years after his death, the kind of Chinese whispers. Second is the contrived Sharia. Sharia is not God's law. Sharia is man-made rulings masquerading as divine law. And thirdly is the fatwas, the most risible of which, of course, is the Salman Rushdie fatwa. So these three things are the terrible triplets, the toxic trio of Islam that has distorted and warped and totally fabricated the entire ethos of Islam. True Islam is therefore about promoting an erudite, egalitarian, and enlightened faith. And Quranic Islam, unlike customary clergy-driven beliefs, gives priority to reason and logic, not to blind belief and slavish rituals. And Islam's transcendent text repeatedly reaffirms 6 salient points about itself. It says the book is complete and detailed, is sufficiently clear, no omissions have been is apparent in the text. The Lord does not forget. God makes no mistakes. The Creator does not run out of words. So Quranic Islam rejects all manufactured doctrines, non-Quranic dogmas, superstitions, and customs. So what are some of the most risible, egregious customs and practices? And this list, in no particular order, will surprise both Muslims here as well as non-Muslims. Number one, these are things not actually endorsed by the Quran. The hijab and the head covering, not endorsed by the Quran. The niqab, face mask, or burqa. Bushy beards. Okay, gender apartheid. Women's inequality. Banning of interfaith marriages. Nothing of this is endorsed by the Quran. The whole concept of apostasy, heresy, blasphemy, ridicule, not condoned in the Quran. And jihad in the Quran is not about holy war, it's about individual struggle and effort. There's also, the clergy promotes ideological intolerance. If you don't believe it their way, it's the highway. And Islam actually talks about religious liberty for everyone. You are free to believe and not to believe. There are many, many verses, 1821, 109, 9, and so forth. Also, the Quran itself, if you study it, it talks about interfaith harmony and not hostility. The clergy talks about hostility and hatred. Also, the Quran is very clear about abortion and assisted dying. There's no banning in the Quran about abortion or of assisted dying. Also, this idea of Muslim fanaticism and fixation about halal meat. The Quran is very, very clear that Muslims are allowed to eat the meat of people of the book, the Christians and the Jews and others of monotheistic faiths. So halal meat is another racket run by the clergy, another racket. So it's safe to say that anything nonsensical, nasty and negative perceptions about Islam has no Quranic validity whatsoever. And every bizarre item you come across the news, radio, whatever, about Islam has no Quranic foundation. So what is Quranic Islam advances an integrated, indigenous and inclusive belief for us to be part of the UK and not apart from it. And currently there's a worldwide movement underway to challenge and jettison all non-scriptural distortions, theological warping, and supremacist ideology that is manufactured and promoted by the clergy. When this original Islam, this pristine faith, with its progressive, pluralistic, and pertinent roots, supersedes Mullah Islam and replaces the false, fanatical faith that has been manufactured and contrived by bigoted and patriarchal clergy, only then will there be no Islamism in this country and less Islamophobia. Islamism and not Islam is the issue. Islamophobia and not Islam is the issue. And so when this pristine Islam is able to restore itself, almost like a Martin Luther, almost like a Reformation or a Renaissance, when this becomes the rank and file, the major religion here, we will have no militancy, Islamic fanaticism and violence, because the Quran doesn't tolerate that, doesn't allow that. And there'll be far less Islamophobia, because when you cut the legs, the theological legs of the arguments of these people who are promoting them and us hatred between Muslims and non-Muslims and vice versa, where will this Islamophobia be? So this is what we need to do as British people in this country. We should be promoting and helping open-minded, progressive, liberal Muslims tackling the roots of clergy intolerance and bring about harmony and unity in this society. Thank you.
Thank you.